Scallywags, it is Dave, it is Duncan, back from Metal Epidemic for another album review.
Scallywags.
I don't know.
Just trying something new.
Just,
Never
throwing
do
that
that
out.
again. Never do that again.
Try something different in the next one.
No.
Welcome back to another album review. For this review, Duncan and I have been checking out the new release from Toronto-based hardcore quintet Pigpen. The band's new album, Mental Madness, will be released on June 27th via Flatspot Records. The plan was to start a band that was all long-time friends. The idea was to embrace the scene they grew up in. The conspirators are as follows: Matty Matheson, singer, who grew up in Niagara hardcore scene with his late 90s band Hanging Hearts, and who has gone on to become a chef and restaurateur. Wade McNeil on guitar, an active member of Alex is on Fire and Doom's Children. The Romano brothers, Daniel on guitar and Ian on drums. Rock and roll veterans from Daniel Romano's outfit and Tommy Major on bass of Young Gov. Tommy and the Commies, Daniel Romano's outfit. It was during the pandemic and we were all back home, says Matheson, the conversations began to make something heavy, noisy, and touched on the classic 80s hardcore we all love so much. Everyone showed up with a bunch of riffs, scraps of lyrics, talked influences and principles, bounced ideas back and forth, then got Chinese food. We wrote 10 songs in one day, says Matheson, and the next day we recorded them. Nice. Due to the band members' extracurriculars, Pigpen is starting off as a contained explosion and a distilled expression, which is what the music itself is about. The subject matter on Mental Madness sticks to themes that Matheson describes as mental health shit. Topics like isolation, loneliness, and letting your mind destroy you. A representative sample, Teach Me to Hate Myself, Teach Me Not to Care, bellows Matheson in Mental Mentality, the band's first single. I'm sick, I'm sick, I'm sick during the bridge. These are words that might ring an alarm bell, but sound perfectly at home in a hardcore song. But are they ever just hardcore lyrics? You can be having a beautiful day surrounded by friends, and your brain can continuously ruin it. No matter how good or bad your life is, you can still hate yourself. I've got to ask myself, why am I feeling the ways I'm feeling? In other words, the record is about experiencing life, feeling all the feelings in the sunshine and the dark corners. If that's what the songs are about, the band is about something different, just being a band. Our love of each other is what makes it, says Matheson. Joyousness, concurs Dan Romano. Friends having fun, it comes across in the record as an expression of happiness. Is that a dichotomy? Not exactly. There's a sense of community in that the hardcore scene we came up in, says Romano, and those early enlightenments, they stay with you. And though everyone in the band has branched out since those days, hardcore is always the same in some ways. This is a scene of giving, of sharing, of going the fuck off. That's it really. That's Pigpen. The album was produced by Pigpen, engineered by Ian Romano, mixed by Arthur Risk.
Oh, risky business.
And then mastered by Alan Douches.
Jesus Christ, what a pedigree.
Yeah. Pigpen. Yeah, I mean, I suppose this band may have appeared on your radar already, possibly, for a couple of different reasons.
Yeah.
Obviously, Wade McNeil, as I mentioned, from Alex is on Fire, is on guitar. And that band have been on the go for over 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And also the popularity of the FX TV show The Bear, in which Pigpen vocalist Matty plays the role of Neil Fack, who is the kind of handyman, childhood friend of the family.
See, I didn't know he was in that. I've never watched it, so I know him from like his cook stuff.
Right,
so I've made his recipes before. I'll just put it this way: like you starve yourself that day if you're eating like anything that this guy makes. This guy does not go shy on cream and butter. My arteries, like even I was just thinking about some of this. Like when I was listening to this, I was thinking about like one or two of the things I have ate from his cookbook.
Right.
And I could feel my heart just going, I've got like someone screaming at me at the same time. I'm like, So that's how I know him.
Right. So I was the other way. So I saw him in the Bear first.
Right.
And then found out he was a chef and had like restaurants and stuff. And then I saw some of his
very
videos.
popular. Well, very popular chef, mostly because he's a big personality. So that's kind of what makes him stand out. Plus he has a kind of no fucks given attitude.
Yeah.
Plus, he doesn't look like your typical chef. He's
No,
like, actually, if you told me he was a hardcore singer that had become a chef, which you're now telling me he was, I could totally believe that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Great actor as well. Like, really good character in that show.
Cool. I'll get him to when they cancel it.
Yeah. Well, season 4 just came out like this week, so.
When they cancel it, Dave.
So yeah, chef, actor, but can he front a band, Duncan? That is the question we're here to answer. Well, this album.
Can I just say, this is what he's like on camera. Like, if you want to actually see him, like, if you check out one of his chef recipes, like, there's a lot of his vocal here. There's a lot of him shouting at people. So to me, I was like, I was kind of surprised. Like, I was doing that. I wonder what this is going to sound like in a hardcore setting. But then when it kicked in, it was like that. Oh, this is exactly how I thought it was going to sound like in a hardcore setting. That makes sense now. So
yeah, I mean, this album, there's maybe a little bit of a hardcore influence. Just
I mean,
you might pick that up a little subtle. You may notice it. No, this is so fucking old school hardcore. It's like literally told me to quit my job, burn my Nickelback albums, and then go fuck myself.
I mean, I've been telling you for a while, it's a shame that you don't take my advice, but a newly formed band from Canada, you're all over that shit.
Logan, I will never burn my Nickelback albums. That's a step too far. Yeah, I mean, when I was listening to this, I was like, this is kind of like the epitome of like a hardcore punk album. This is it. It doesn't really get any more like true to the genre than this. They really embody like everything about hardcore, and it's like the philosophy of creating angry music that is just brimming with that like intensity and heart and passion. And it has like it was quite surprising because I felt like the album had a very like DIY kind of feel to it. Even though like when I read the production team behind it, I was like, all right, okay.
That's kind of cool though. That to me shows that those guys know not to overfuck with things. Which you would expect. Arthur Risk is at this stage. Have we ever heard anything that man has touched that were like that?
No.
He could have tried a little bit harder. You know what I mean?
And he is very good at recreating that old school feel. Like that's what he does. And this has that. Like it has this character of like it could be like an old demo from like 30 years ago. I mean, if they aren't selling this as a cassette tape, then they are like missing a trick with this.
100% missing a trick, yeah.
But and when I say like it's like sounds like an old demo, it's not in like an old and like shit kind of way. Like it still has like a real kind of like sonic punch to it. And these songs come across with that like a bit of fire about them. And but the kind of the seasoning. Going to be some food analogies.
He was going to go chefy. All right, I didn't know where we were going there.
It kind of, it's got that kind of old school flavour about it.
Flavour? What was it doing here?
I don't know. Just keep running with it. Even down to like the way they've like heavily reverbed the vocals, like that. Yeah. To me is like just a throwback to that era, and I love it. Like, I mean, for me, hardcore should never ever be like overproduced. Like, for me, the more sauce you put on this, the more it kind of loses its personality. And like, yeah, so this sauce, yeah, fuck's sake.
You don't even know you're doing it.
I know. I've kind of lost count how many bands or how many hardcore bands that I used to listen to from like the 90s that had that organic character to their albums, but like over time they've become a bit more accustomed to just use maybe a few drum samples here or a little amp simulator here, Who
has the time to spend 12 hours in a recording studio, Dave?
Exactly.
You can spend 3 hours in a recording studio and go to a strip club.
Yeah. Which is fine. I mean, like it works for some albums and some genres. But for me, like the charm of a hardcore album production is always like keeping it simple and is kind of near to a live sound as you possibly can. And Mental Madness has that in buckets. Like you can tell that like a lot of this was written in a very like condensed period of time. It has that feeling of like, let's just fucking plug in and like see what we come up with. And obviously there is a certain level of planning and arranging has gone into this, but it never feels like it's been like overworked at all. And it absolutely works on this album. This is like 25 minutes of chaos and energy, and it's like the audio equivalent of licking a car battery. It's like it's got that kind of like real kind of zing to it. It's not an album that will throw like a lot of huge curveballs at you. They keep the sound kind of true to the genre. They keep it steady and it's fiery. And it's the riffs are like getting lashed with your dad's belt. It's got that kind of feel. The drums are really explosive on it. But there's plenty of like kind of switch ups. There's like well placed moments of groove. And then you've got obviously the vocals coming over the top from Matty, which are very venomous vocal recording. Like I thought Matty's performance on this kind of makes it.
Yeah.
He has that quality in his voice, that just instantly grabs you. It's very direct, hostile, but he has this really like kind of fluid kind of emotion as well. Like it sounds very natural to him.
Let's put it this way: how many celebrity, and he's a celebrity, right?
Yeah,
how many celebrity projects that move into alternative and harder hitting music?
Yeah.
Actually sound like it's less of a vanity project and it's something they actually really want to do. There are very few of them, and from the off you can tell he's committed to this. This is what he wants to do. He wants to put this out, and that shows in his delivery all the way through it. There ain't no phoning it in. There isn't anything cliche about it either. I love his tone as well, because it's to the middle upper register, but it's not like not loose upper register, but it's above that mid register as well, so it gives it a kind of uniqueness in the tone.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like he's ever going to blow out his voice doing it either. It's like a controlled shout. It's really cool.
Yeah. Actually, like when I was sitting listening to this, it kind of it reminded me weirdly of watching Green Room a little. The movie, if you've never seen Green Room, excellent film.
Watch Green Room.
Yeah, it's like it's old school as I mentioned, but it's just it's quite unhinged in places, and like I can almost picture this band being a part of that movie. Like when I was sitting listening to it, there's a I'm saying that, I mean, like it is very like hard hitting and angry, but there's a couple of moments on the album where there is like a little bit of a hint of melody comes through as well.
Highway is the big example of that. Highway like leads off with melody in the back, but it's aggressive melody.
Yes,
you know what I mean? I don't know who's doing it, but there's someone.
I think there's kind of two vocals kind of coming in and out on Highway, and I think on Venom Moon Rising as well. And I think that's Matty, and I think Wade McNeil is doing the other vocal.
Right,
and
it's at a slightly lower register, and it's more seasoned, if you know what I mean. Like we're going to do your thing, but does it like that to me is like someone that's been doing that for a while.
Yeah, I had a wee watch of one of their live videos, and there was a mic stand set up in front of Wade, so I'm thinking maybe it must be him that's doing the other vocal. But I thought the little touch of melody really worked. Like just adding in a little hook and a different vocal texture, just immediately made it more interesting. I feel like Wade has maybe a slightly smokier almost kind of vocal, so it was a really cool contrast between him and Matty. I know like they probably don't want to overdo that, just in case they feel it maybe dilutes that kind of like vitriolic sound they have, but like I wouldn't be against them using more of it in the future. I thought it was a really cool idea. The last track is also,
well, you came in and said this is a 25-minute album, and then Dave because the last track's 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
Is it 6 minutes long, Dave? There's 2 minutes of an outro in it and like a 2-minute building. Technically a 2-minute song, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong. It's the one track that's a little bit different to the rest of the album. It's the closing track, so it gets a touch more experimental, kind of slows things down a little bit. They bring in a bit more kind of weird kind of guitar noises. It sounded like there was wind chimes happening there as well.
I think it's either like recorded sampled wind chimes or it might be a synthesizer doing kind of chimey loops or something like that. But yeah, like towards the end specifically, it just kind of loops through in a kind of psychedelic wave. That
was cool. But I think that might be a first. I don't know if I've heard wind chimes in a hardcore album for a while. But yeah, I thought it was cool. It was interesting to hear them kind of just let their hair down a bit on the closer and try something a bit more out of the box. That doesn't always work with some bands. Sometimes the last track, if they go a bit weird, it can feel a bit disjointed. But I felt like it still had that balance of, it had the weirdness, but it still had the kind of core Pigpen sound in there as well. So I felt like it worked as a closer, and it felt like a closing track. Like I'd heard a couple of the singles from this album before checking out the full thing, and I was kind of sold on it already, to be honest. And after hearing the full album, I'm kind of excited to see like what happens next with this band. I don't know how active they'll be considering like everything else they have going on outside of the band, but if it's like an album every couple of years and maybe some short tours, then yeah, sign me up. Let me hear the next one. I dug this. Like, it is very much within my wheelhouse, but I really enjoyed it. What about yourself? What did you make of Pigpen and their debut?
Dave, if Gordon Ramsay cut into this, he looked inside, he would say, "This is fucking wrong." But he'd be happy that it's raw because he ordered it raw. This is like one of those like this is one of those things that it looks like an idyllic souffle in an oven, but when you take it out, it could fall flat. This one doesn't. This one stays risen. I'm just seeing how many other things I can add in here. Scallops. No, we're not doing that. Not like, to me, like I say, like the stretch for him to be a vocalist was not something that kind of blew my mind, because I'd heard him be relatively kind of comedically aggressive on his cooking videos. It actually transfers very well. I'd love to hear like remixes of his cooking videos now, which is like hardcore breakdowns in the background. I think that could be kind of funny. You're right. I think listening to this, I think it'd be very easy to just like knock this off as, well, they're not bringing anything new to the table. And there was a part of me that used to be more judgmental of that in the past, where I would think, well, why are you doing that? I think I'm less forgiving of that with new bands, like who are like on some level you like deliberately trying to capture a sound of an era, but it's a band, particularly bands like Airborne, for example, who you can literally tell the band they want to be, right? That's in the fucking riffs, it's in the sound. But like if you listen to Pigpen's story, they grew up in this scene. Like they've been in bands in this scene, so it makes sense to me that when they came together, they would kind of pick up from where they left off, and that kind of feels like what you get here. Doesn't surprise me the turnaround for this was short either. A lot of the songs, very similar techniques. They start off at times almost in the same way, but it was never to the point that I felt like it was overly repetitive or even overtly predictable, even though you can call this one, you Babe Ruth this one pretty much all the way through. It does throw the curveballs in there, like you mentioned. I loved the inclusion of the aggro melody on Highway. I thought it made that track pop. Putting Venom Moon Rising, which also uses that. Those tracks are side by side on this. So that's kind of smart as well. They don't space it out that it feels like, well, why does that come back? But at the same time, it's far enough into the album that kind of adds a little bit something else before you kind of close out with the run of tracks that they have from Problem Mind through to the closing track, which is all letters when we're doing that. I thought the production was really good. I thought the riffs are stellar. I thought his vocals were great. I think there's a lot of re-listen value to this as well. One, because of its runtime, but two, because you just feel the energy. They're very much one of those kind of, I need a pick-me-up. This is what I'm going to listen to. I need to super focus. This is what I'm going to listen to. It's kind of very versatile that way. Like you, I'm curious to see if this is just a one and done because of the lockdown, or if this is we're going to put this out as a self-contained project and see if it gets traction. And if it gets traction, I mean, this is a safe thing to do because they're all in other things. So you put out there, if it becomes a bit more popular, guess what? You can always jump back in and do it again because you've done one already. It didn't. At no point was I like, oh my god, they're revolutionizing the genre. But at the same time, I've said before, when you go old school and you go authentically old school, there really isn't any place to hide. Like, there is no studio wizardry, there is no quantize, there is no fix this thing. It's like it's live or die by the sword, and Pigpen come out victorious in this one. Like they deliver what needs to be delivered in a nice, punchy, impactful like album. It's like really, I always struggle to call albums when they're like 20 minutes long. But like to me, it works front to back, and it doesn't sound like a gimmick, which was the big thing for me. Like Matty Matheson being like fronting a hardcore band. There was a part of me when I first heard it, the eyes rolled, and I was like, "Oh, here's another celebrity vanity project." Totally not that.
Yep. Okay, final thing, scores for the debut album from Pigpen. I thoroughly enjoyed this. It's very true to the genre. I think it's authentic. I enjoy what they're doing, and even though like they have influences, I found it quite difficult to say, oh, they sound like this band. There was nothing that was too on the nose with it. I'm looking forward to hearing what happens next. This is a very solid kind of debut, and there's little things about this that excites me to think, all right, it'll be interesting to see if they expand on that on future releases. For this one, I'm going to go 4 out of 5. I thought it was thoroughly enjoyable. What are you thinking yourself?
I'm 100% with you. This is a 4 for me.
Nice. So that's Pigpen Mental Madness, out on June 27th on Flatspot Records. Check out the links, have a little listen, see what you think. Happy to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. That is our review. Thanks for checking it out. Much appreciated. We'll be back with another review very soon, but until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.